hello, hello.
Hey, my friend. Why do
Yes, girl.
I feel like I always do this? I always like start it and I'm like, why do I always start things like the same way in my head? And I'm like, every time I start it the same way, I feel like I always say it.
Oh my gosh, you just have it stuck there. That's okay.
Oh, I'm a mess, but
Maybe
it
it's
is
just
what it
meant
is.
to be. Right.
Maybe
It
it
is what
works.
it is. So what's happening, girl? Like, what do we got going on today?
Ugh, what isn't happening? It is
Yes.
a crazy day, and it's actually a lot earlier for us to record than normal. So
Which is kind of nice, though. I like it.
it is. If only we had this much time on like a normal basis.
Right. That'd be pretty great.
Definitely. But, we got to make sure that we stay consistent. So we have to make sure that no matter what's going on around us, that we make time for the podcast, make an episode, because this is
Yes.
also the like last minute, the most last minute that I feel like we've been as well since we started. So
Yeah, no, it really is.
yeah. So we're
Yeah.
right on par with the listeners because it's only Monday for us and you guys will be hearing this our tomorrow, which is your today.
Right. It was confusing, but it made sense.
Okay, good.
So what do we have for our listeners today?
So I've been noticing in the past couple of weeks a lot, well, not a lot, but enough people for it to stand out to me, of people that have been losing a parent specifically, and also just kind of like a loved one. And so I thought it would be a good idea for us to try and remember like what happened for us after that event took place. Like
Mm,
what kind of a state were we in? What kind of things did we do, think, whatever. Just because it might help someone that's currently going through that situation,
true.
that's willing to listen, and hear us out. Because I know sometimes, like for me, I don't know if I would have been in a place to listen. So it's not for everybody, I wouldn't think, but
Right.
maybe there's someone out there that's like looking for some kind of a guidance or like a path for,
Next steps.
yeah.
That's true. Well, I can say for myself that there wasn't I can't put a lot of memory to the days after my mom had passed.
Mm,
Like the key things I can remember is like, okay, she passed on a Tuesday. That Wednesday after, there was like just this feeling of loneliness and emptiness in the house
mhm,
where not quite loneliness because I still had the dog, but it was just empty
mm,
because I literally remember just sitting on the couch with the dog sitting on the floor by my feet, and I remember him like whimpering randomly, like out of nowhere, like he knew, like he knew there was a piece missing. And it was just weird, but I think also too it didn't quite fully set in because my mom did take a lot of trips back and forth to the hospital.
gotcha.
So, there were days where I was at home and she was at the hospital, so it kind of felt like one of those days too.
Yeah.
But it it really took a while to like settle in as to this is what the situation was.
Mhm.
But emptiness is one of the biggest things I can say that I felt. And I really don't know, like I feel like I can't really recall every little thing that I did or every feeling I had because once again, I then had to switch into go mode
Mhm.
and worry about moving. And I think my mind was so distracted by a lot of that that I didn't really take the time to process,
Yeah.
those feelings. So, but it's also a while ago. So it's like, oh gosh, part of me doesn't even want to remember and
Right,
part of me
right.
can't remember.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting thing too that you said it was a little harder for you at first because your mom was like in and out of the hospital.
Hmm.
Whereas like for us, my dad was in the hospital for an entire month.
Right.
So it was already kind of like empty in the house. It was just more of like not having to keep going to the hospital.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so it was definitely different in that aspect. But I totally agree with the whole emptiness feeling between that and just like being numb to everything
Hmm.
is probably like the biggest thing that I remember too. It's just I don't know. It's
Yeah.
like it's kind of hard to explain it, but I do think that emptiness is definitely like the best word to use when you
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just like you're depleted in
Mhm.
many different ways. And I even like think back to like I had resources I could have used. Like I think back to my job at the time.
Mhm.
So my job had this foundation, and I know I mentioned it in another episode, but there's like a foundation that associates donate to. And then associates who are in need can like apply for some type of assistance. So it's whether if they're like behind on their rent, or they need oil, or just kind of many different situations. But you pretty much apply and you can receive a grant from the foundation, or you can get a matching grant, which is your store raises money for that associate, and then whatever the store gets for from donations,
Mhm.
the foundation will match that.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
yeah, so there's two different ways, but I didn't even think about that. Like when everything happened with my mom, I really could have applied to that and had assistance, whether it be with paying rent and not having to rush to move out so fast, or with the funeral expenses. Like I had a few different options in front of me, but it's just crazy. Like I never thought about it. And not that I would go back and intentionally use it, but it's just looking back, it's like, I allowed things to be a little harder for myself than I really needed them to be. So I
Yeah.
always think that it's good that, even in preparation, when someone is going to pass soon, you need to look at all of your resources, your options, your support. You need to look at those types of things and, write it down so you don't have to worry about remembering it,
Yeah,
but just kind
definitely.
of writing those things down, and, where it can apply to your life and help you out in some sort of way after this person passes.
Yeah, I totally agree because that's like the last thing that comes to your mind is, like, how can I find this resource? Or,
Mhm.
what am I not thinking of doing? Because in that moment, you're really just processing, like, well, damn, like this person that was a huge part of my life is just automatically not here anymore.
Right.
How do I process that? Like, what am I going to do? You're not sitting here thinking about ways to kind of like make your life easier because
Right.
you're not thinking like I still have a life to live, if that makes
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
because it's just like, and then even with the days after their past, like I have their things. I need to figure out what to do with their things.
Mhm.
Like we had some stuff that, depending on what it was, we would just put it on the side of the road and it'd be gone within minutes. Like there were some people just kind of going by and snatching stuff up.
Oh, wow.
We have clothes that we had donated, but it's just you don't have the time to be proactive after someone passes. Like
Not
that's
at
not
all.
even a thing. A lot of
Yeah.
people, you're lucky if they can function after someone passes, let
Right.
alone like let's get to it and let's chip away at this that needs to be done and chip away at that. No.
No, you're just trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces and just,
Yes.
survive yourself. But I would say the most important thing is no matter how you're feeling,
Hmm.
make sure that you take care of yourself. Because if you're
Right.
not having fluids, staying hydrated, and eating something, whether it's like crackers or whatever, you got to
Right.
make sure that you take care of yourself because you don't want to in turn get sick too.
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
How was it with going back to work? Like how long was it before you went back to work?
I think I took off at least a week, maybe a little more than that.
Yeah.
Because my dad's service wasn't until like a week after.
Yep.
And so I had that whole time off of work, and then I think I went back like a few days after that.
Hmm.
Um, and that was an interesting transition. So, like at my job, they always do these like agency wide emails, like when someone's like loved one passes away to like send condolences and things like that.
Hmm.
And
Right.
I just remember like the first thing like I told my boss was like, please make sure that like they don't do this because one, I don't like people in my business. And
Hmm.
two, I'm not comfortable with people that like I know or don't know walking up to me and just saying, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss and, trying to like talk to me and stuff about it. Because for me, if you know me, I'm all about business and I'm not
Yeah.
about like the extra like chitter chatter. And
Hmm.
so that's the last thing that I want to do is come to work and have to relive and think about everything that like I'm going through in my personal life. Like I need a
Right.
distraction. I just want to
Hmm.
do my job and call it a day. So the most that they did for me was one of my employees did send flowers to my dad's service, and then my boss sent me something. I forget what it was, like cookies or, like one of those like basket things.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about that is that it actually was like wrapped in like this really nice ribbon, but the ribbon said happy birthday on it. And I sent her a picture of it and I was like,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I wasn't like mad about it. I thought it was funny, but I'm just like, really?
Right.
You
Like
know?
just so you know, this is a celebration of life, but not that type of celebration of life.
Right. So I thought that that was funny. And then when I actually got to work, they
Oh
handed
my
me a card.
gosh.
Some of the people at my job that like I knew and like talked to,
Mhm.
just signed like a nice little message in the card, and I actually still have it posted up at my job.
Yeah.
It's a nice little reminder, to know that people actually care, but I didn't have to have that like interaction with people, which for me was like great.
Right. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I think I was out of work for like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and I want to say it was about 2 weeks because the following week after she passed, we had the service,
Mm,
and we had the day before the service, we had like a cookout at my cousin's, so we were able to, celebrate with that, but
mhm.
definitely give yourself time to go back to work
Yeah.
because that same thing of having to relive everything, you know, is just a lot. And it's already hard enough if you have like a funeral service or a celebration of life, whatever you do,
Mhm.
you still will have those people come up to you and be like, "Oh, your so and so was so great." And you don't even know who this person is, but it's just like, "Oh gosh, like a whole nother person who just understands my pain right now and knows of the person, and now I have to hear more great stories about them and not be able to like
Right.
just have them here." So then going to work, it's a little bit harder because it's once again someone sharing their condolences, but they didn't know the person.
Mhm.
So then it's just like, all right, now I got to stay strong. And for me, it was hard because at that time I had recently switched to a new position
Mhm.
and I ended up going out of work recently into that new position. So now I'm coming back and I was dealing with customers who were getting appliances delivered.
Yeah.
And we just switched over to this new third party company
Mhm.
that were delivering the appliances for us. And they sucked. And I just want to say we still have them today and they still suck. So just to put that out there.
Yeah.
And the transition was so rough. Like they were jacking up so many orders and
Gosh.
a lot of missed deliveries. So customers are calling, my dishwasher hasn't been delivered, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? There's people's parents out here dying and you're complaining about a dishwasher not getting like
Right, right.
I used to be so angry because that was the bulk of my day is
Mhm.
dealing with those phone calls. And I'm just like, a dishwasher?
Right.
A dishwasher? Use the damn sink.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
definitely not a necessity.
right. Like if you got the plumbing for a dishwasher, then you got the plumbing for a sink. Oh, your sink's messed up or you're getting your kitchen done, use the tub. Like I really did not. I just and no, I didn't say that to them, but the oh,
Yeah.
it was just ugh.
Yeah.
So even like refrigerators, but I reflected on it after in the moment because there was a lot of refrigerators too. My refrigerator isn't delivered.
Mhm.
And that I understand more later in time. In that moment, I couldn't understand, like, it's a fucking appliance.
It's still, yeah, it's trivial. It's
Like,
not.
people are losing family members,
Yeah.
because I was so grieving. And, I look at it and I'm like, all right, like, people do need refrigerators, for store medicine or, different things. Like, I understand it better
Yeah.
being out of that state I was in when I was going through it, but that literally was the only time in my life I've went and talked to my store manager and asked them to put me in a different department
Oh, yeah.
because I felt like I was going to mess up my job if I had to keep dealing with these people who, especially the dishwasher ones, get me the most, especially if I had to keep dealing with that
Mm.
and going through the pain I was going through. Like, I yeah, I would have said some shit that would have gotten me in trouble. So I
Yeah.
asked to be put in a different department. I did get put in a different department and it was no better than the department I came from because I got put into customer service at that point. So now
It's
I
worse.
deal with the issues right front hand, like,
Yeah,
but it actually ended up being better than the appliances. So I don't know how.
that's
I
good
don't know how, but it's like you really got to take time because you will get yourself caught up. Even one of my coworkers recently, their mom passed away, and even just talking to them and like the tears are like welling up in the eyes for them, and I'm like, I am so sorry. Like, I'm just gonna stop talking to you, like,
though. Right.
because it's like I get it, it's triggering, and but then it's hard because it's like some people need to talk about it
That's true.
because like you can't just go back to work and not talk about it, but some are fine with just let me put up that wall and yeah,
Me
you
over here.
right. Let me put up that wall and
Yeah,
everything will be marvelous and we'll be fine. you know?
definitely.
So it's hard because it definitely goes both ways. But just in general, regardless of how we all handle situations, I think it's just good to take time and space
Hmm.
because, we don't want to be any less than when we go back to work.
Right.
No one wants to go to work and then just start effing stuff up and, not being of their best quality or potential. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there probably are people out there like that, not everyone's the same or has the same work ethic, but,
Right.
for the majority, I'm sure that's the case.
Yeah. Well, and everything is just so raw, like in those moments, and like the slightest thing can just like either set you off, like, and
Yes.
be like angry, or like you said, you can just like start crying like out of nowhere.
Right, just be lost and
Yeah.
gone and oh, yep.
'Cause,
No,
like,
it's
I remember being at my parents' house, and, like, the minute, like, I had a time to just, like, be by myself because, like, my mom was, like, always there, or, like, we were working on something, or, like, trying to, like, set up, the service and stuff like that, and, like,
mhm.
the minute, like, I had time to just kind of, like, be in my own element, I would just, like, sit there in my dad's, like, favorite chair in the house, and, I just started, like, bawling my eyes out, like, just, like,
Right.
thinking about everything, because like, I finally had that time, like, to myself, and you've heard me say this a million times, I'm not one to really, like, I try not to cry in front of other people and show my, like, true
True
feelings,
emotions. Mhm.
and so that would be, like, my me time, but then sometimes it'd be so frustrating because like, the minute, like, I would hear someone, like, try to, like, come around the corner or whatever, like, I try to, like, get myself together, so
Just suck all the tears back up in her eye ducts.
pretty much. So that was a struggle, but, I really just needed, like, those moments, like, for myself, and it was kind of helpful, but
Yeah.
everything is just so raw in those moments, and you
Mm.
can't be, like, ashamed, or, you really just kinda have to, like, feel it out and just be self-aware. Because, like you said, like, you could have, like, snapped at people just because you're, like, so involved in, like, your feelings and stuff,
Yeah.
but, at the end of the day, as stupid as it might be, that refrigerator can be, like, so important to someone, you know? And yes, there are other important things in the world, but
Mhm.
everything is important to people in different ways. So
Right.
you don't want to, be a complete like jerk, even you're, feeling crazy and whatever. And you also
Great.
don't want to lose your job, or, something like that.
Exactly.
So it's hard, it's a transition, but I think being aware of it and doing your
Mhm.
best to control your emotions, I think, is all we really can do. And if you need more time, take that time. Like, companies
Right.
normally have a certain amount of days for bereavement leave. Um,
Mhm.
but don't be afraid to like use your own time on top of that to take what you
Exactly.
need. Because going back to work too soon, if you're not ready for it, I think could be a bad idea.
Exactly. I definitely agree. So
Yeah.
that's a easy little recap right there. Be proactive, know your resources, know your support.
Hmm.
Give yourself the time to feel. You're not going to fully heal, but at least give yourself time to feel and have those raw emotions come out.
Right.
And then also be self aware because you
Definitely.
need to know, how you're going to react or have an idea as to how you're going to react to certain situations. And, do you really need to push yourself in that place or not?
Hmm.
Nice and
Definitely.
easy.
Yeah, I think so.
Quick, simple tips. Dink, dink, dink.
Try. Just thinking back to it, it's kind of like it's bringing me back a little bit, and it's a tough place to be. Let me tell you. I mean,
yeah.
it doesn't get easier with time, but you truly do kind of learn how to manage it better, I guess.
Yeah. Always,
Yeah.
always, because like we just said recently, grieving doesn't end. So
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
just adjust, alter, and adjust
Yeah. It's
life.
definitely hard to understand when you're in that moment, but once time passes,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get there. You just gotta
Always,
allow yourself to have that time for sure.
and have faith.
Yes.
You got any more gems for our peeps?
I don't know. I'm sitting here. I'm trying to think and get my wheels turning, but I think that's everything that's
Wheels are
really
spinning.
that's everything that's coming to mind at the moment. What about you?
No, girl. I mean, like I said, I can't really remember a lot from those last well,
Blur.
the first days of the last days, I guess, really to call it. But yeah, it's a lot of it's a blur, and honestly most of it I can just remember moving and prepping to move, so
Yeah,
which is
that's
kind of
true.
trash.
Yeah, but at the same time, you want like your own space, but you want to have those distractions, because I feel like
Mhm.
being completely alone in like solitude is not a good idea. It is maybe in moderation, but
Small
for
moderation.
long periods of time, no, I think that that can be really bad.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You can go
Very
into dark
toxic.
places really quick.
Oh, yes. Black
Yeah,
holes, and you need like 20-foot ladders to get out.
definitely.
you know.
So, whether you feel like it or not, being around people truly is like the best thing. Because, like, I remember, like, right after everything happened, like, and
Mhm.
thank you just again for always being in the right place at the right time.
You're
Um,
welcome.
but I wanted to be like alone because that's for me, that's just what I always gravitate to. But then my
Yeah.
mom's like, well, let's go get ice cream. And I'm like, get
Yeah, that
ice
was
cream.
really random.
I'm just like, we just went through like what? Get ice cream. But
right.
I would say though, it is a really good memory to have in the back of my mind of that day. I
Yeah.
might not have wanted to do it in the moment. I might not have wanted to be around people, but it really was. It was a good thing to do, I think.
That ice
So
cream was good too, by the way.
it
Just
was.
want to say. It definitely was not an expected let's get ice cream moment, but
Not at all.
um yeah.
But it worked out. So
yeah.
don't be afraid to force yourself to be around people and still take,
Please.
a few minutes to yourself, but
Right.
don't uh don't get sucked into the darkness.
Couldn't have said it better.
No, but if you guys that are currently going through things have any like questions, or if you guys have, I don't know, certain feelings or a better way to describe it, please write into us and let us know because we are just going off of a memory of a place that we don't want to remember.
right.
So it's a little harder.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And don't forget, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. On our Facebook and on our Instagram pages, we also have a link to our website that will give you quick and easy access to all of our episodes, whether it's on your favorite podcasting platform or if it's on YouTube.
Yes, definitely. Check us out, give us a like, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Until next time.
Bye, guys.